Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Major League Gaming Pro Circuit and Doritos Combine here in Washington, D.C. It is the grand finals of StarCraft 2, and I don't think it could be a better matchup.
Yeah, I think let's get a little bit loud out in that crowd. I want to hear you all the way back at this caster desk. We have EG Idra playing against Select from Dignitas in the grand finals here. A TVZ action coming for you in just a couple of minutes. But first, Sean, why don't we talk a little bit about the path that Select had to take? Is really, it's one of the most craziest things. I mean, if you go back and look at the players that he beat to get to where he is right now, that is incredible.
It's absurd. It's absurd. I mean, the best contrast is to look up Idra on the brackets. Idra had a very straightforward path. He just won all the way to the finals, as people anticipated. So he ends up being the final boss of this tournament, defeated in the first round, I Make Roaches, and then Last Shadow, and then Avilo, QXC, Kiwikaki, and finally Huck to get into the grand finals. But for the record, this is Select's 12th best of 3 going into the final. Look at him there, steely, cold, focused. The players he had to go through, starting in the loser's bracket. I'm not even going to pay attention to the winner's bracket. Select defeated LZ Gamer, TT1, QXC, Slush, Tyler, Kiwikaki, Huck, and now he's against Idra. He has enough games under his belt to be promoted to Diamond League just based upon his results in this tournament.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. Select definitely deserves to be in this final after taking out so many big names. And also big props to Huck. They're taking third place here at MLG D.C. I mean, that's no slouch, obviously. He's playing against the best players in North America. Third place, nothing to be ashamed of.
Absolutely. Third place, also nothing to be ashamed of when you are awesome and make a mothership and do the good old don't worry, it's Halo.
Yeah, that was a pretty good line. We'll definitely put that into a top 10 video for the next event, which is, of course, MLG Dallas, our national championships. Tickets are still on sale for that. If you want to participate as a player, you can go check those out at mlgpro.com.
And we will be starting match 1 very soon. The first map is Lost Temple. Idra did not fare particularly well on this map against Last Shadow, looking a little bit shaky on that map. So we are going to go into a map preview video on Lost Temple to see where we are at.
Welcome back to Lost Temple. If you've ever played a Blizzard RTS, you know what to expect from this map. But it has a few tricks up its sleeve in StarCraft 2. A 4-player map, spawn points are at a cross pattern at the 12, 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions. New in StarCraft 2, high-yield minerals connect the 9 and 12 o'clock position as well as the 3 and 6. Island expansions can be found in the northwest and the southeast corners. Pay close attention for players harassing the natural expansions outside each base. The cliff area allows for a great place for drops to occur, and because of this, Zerg users tend to veto this map. Good luck to the players, and back to you guys at the desk.
Now, of course, we always have to do the traditional cheers. If you are a Select fan, give a round of applause, audience, to Select, the Cinderella story of MLG D.C. He is at the south position as the red Terran. Although he is higher seeded, he is in an uphill battle against Idra, the blue Zerg, in the north position. Give a cheer for your bad boy of gaming, Idra, from Team EG.
Now, first thing to notice is that we are cross-spawn positions as a Zerg user. This is exactly what Idra wants on this map. Of course, that expansion, we do have those cliffs there. Toki was talking about that in the map preview. Very susceptible to tank drops if that is what Select decides to do. And for Select right now, I mean, if you look at kind of his recent games, he doesn't care if it's cross-spawn, if he spawns close by air, if he spawns close by ground. He will just be so aggressive no matter what he has to do to get to your base.
And I mean, what really impresses me is that on the ladder, still with, I think, over 700 games played on the US server, he has an over 70% win rate on that server with insane aggression. That's very, very, very difficult to pull off. And we see Select already preparing a very unique build, gas first, that will allow him to get his factory up ASAP.
Idra has just reached 200 minerals. He is sending a drone over to that expansion. We talked to him a little bit earlier this weekend, and he was saying that he has no problem with doing this 14-15 pull hatch so early on because there's no pressure whatsoever that the Terran users can put out. And this is actually the first TVZ that we have seen Select play. We've seen a lot of other players like Druby and also like QXC play against Zerg users in this event. and they haven't had so much success in the opener. Select, we'll have to see if he's actually figured something out in this short couple of days that patch 1.1.2 has been out.
In the brief games I have gotten the chance to see him play, he definitely loves Hellions in general, but especially Hellion drops, and I would anticipate that he is going to do some sort of Hellion harass, then do a Hellion drop, and if he especially loves abusing the map, would go directly into the Thor drop on the high ground. A lot of steps to the play that Select has done before. We do see a spawning pool going down in the back of Idra's base, and the extractor going up as well.
Going back over into the base of Select, reactor has been thrown down as well as a factory, so we are going to see some Hellion play as the opener for Select. Looks like that spawning pool is about to finish right now for Idra, and also his hatchery at the natural expansion. Here comes the drone from Idra. He does sneak between the wall off there that Select was trying to do. It doesn't really matter too much. Oh, he gets the gas still right as the SCV was about to make it.
The SCV was literally about to take that gas. Idra immediately knows Thor drops, not going to be a problem. That is the biggest form of reassurance Idra needed on this map. So suddenly Select can no longer put that kind of pressure on and will likely maybe still going for a starport, but either way is not in a good spot.
Idra responding to this early factory with the reactor on it by throwing down a spine crawler at his natural. He is going to be ready and prepared for that oncoming attack. The little harass. Here comes another queen building at the main hatchery of Idra. If he can get those queens up to that ramp, he can, of course, block those Hellions from getting into his main, and he can also secure that expansion a little bit easier as well. There goes the creep tumor from Idra, not throwing down that spawn larva onto that hatchery, instead deciding to go ahead and keep spreading his creep, which, if you've ever watched Idra play Zerg before, you know how he is so active about that in every matchup that he plays.
And just little rearrangements with the spine crawler at the front of his base, making sure it is an optimal position moving forward with those Hellions. Taking the chance to just walk right up into the main, sees the Zerglings, backs off, is going to keep those Hellions alive for now. In the main of Select, looks like he is getting the double Hellion. He is getting the starport, so we will be seeing a drop play coming up very soon here. We'd be surprised if he did anything but that. And as we were saying before, very tough to transition into the Thor drop that he would want to because of this gas steal.
Now, if you look, well, actually, Idra just moved that queen, but there he goes, moving it back into position. He's trying to block any entrance for those Hellions to have into the main there, using that spine crawler and the queen. And here come the Hellions. They're going to try to sneak in right here. They're trying to figure out the best way. There goes the queen. Looks like that wasn't on hold position. Creep tumors there, making sure to allow Idra to see what those Hellions are up to at any given moment.
And we see at the starport, there's the medevac going down. Oh, Select just going Thors anyways. A lot of persistence there. We do see that Idra does have that layer almost finished. Idra, in the production, I don't see any Zerglings, but still has a decent amount in his main as he is finishing speed shortly. Idra clearly prepared for all the possible abuses that Select could perform on this map. That medevac is rapidly approaching the front, and Idra still does not really have that much vision and needs to be careful. Losing that creep tumor. Big blunder.
Now, I wonder if Select actually saw the games that Idra played against QXE, because in those games, Idra heavily favored Muta play, and here comes the drop right now. They're going to be chasing away those Lings in the main for Hellions. There goes the Queen, going to work on the medevacs. A nice round on two of those Hellions. He tries to pick up all of them and only gets two. That medevac might go down. There he goes, getting away. The medevac a little bit slower in this new patch, but not slow enough for that Queen to actually kill it in this game. And he lands the Hellions again, possibly going for some more damage onto those Lings.
Oh, very nice. This is what sets players like Select apart from your average Terran crowd, continuing to put on as much pressure as he can. Look at the health on those Hellions, very low. In fact, everything nearby that medevac is quite orange. Will be able to escape in time. We do see the Thor is en route, several Marines coming out, command center going up, and yet another medevac coming up as well. Meanwhile, in the main of Idra, that Spire is very close to completion.
Yeah, when he gets that Spire out, he will of course be making mutas and trying to do some damage into the main of Select, as he wants to try to make sure his opponent does not have as big as economy as he does, obviously. There goes the destructible rocks going down at the high yield mineral right there. Idra going to be trying to take his third very soon. Looks like that dropship has completed. He might be going back to pick up this Thor. Nope, the one out of the starport is going to go ahead and pick up the Thor and go for maybe a drop onto this cliff, as he does know that that expansion is up. That Thor can, of course, hit a couple of drones as well as that extractor.
And here is the Octo drop. 8 Marines in that medevac and a Thor in that medevac. He's going to take the very careful roundabout position, but there is almost nothing in Select's main to defend. If Zerglings marched up there right now, they would win the game. Yet another medevac coming out, and look at Select being very careful to move all the way around, not going to steer too close to that goal, and there he is moving up. Oh my goodness, those mules are extremely close to finishing. He has 6 mules. 1 mule is popping out right now. They're immediately heading up there. They will be able to take out the medevac if they target fire it, and oh no, the medevac does fall down, but he did manage to successfully unload 5 of those Marines, so there he's beginning to wail away at the spine crawler, and Idra needs to get that critical mass of Mulas up to be able to kill off this Thor, and most importantly, the supporting Marines.
Yeah, the Mutas were a little bit close there to that Thor. You can actually hit the hatchery, and here comes the bunker as Lynx run into the main base of Select. There is not a complete wall off. Idra needs to leave that bunker alone and go for the main. Here come the Mutas. He's going to hold position them over the Thor, and there it goes. The Thor is actually focusing down that hatchery as the Mutas are going to kill it, and there goes the Thor dropping down. The medevac is going to be running away with those 3 Marines, but it is going to fall as well.
Idra has a very clear lead, 70 food to 40 food, still has a whole bunch of Zerglings wailing away at the front of his base. Select trying to stabilize, throwing down a bunker at his front, doing some very nice medevac micro, but very clearly that one gas steal at the start of the game is having that cascading effect all the way into the later stages.
And one thing you got to remember is that Idra loves getting these flyer attacks. Here's another attack, trying to focus down that medevac.
And
GG from Select. Idra taking the first game 1-0 on Lost Temple. We're going to be anxiously awaiting for Select to tell us the next map.
For the record, it is 2 best of 3s that Select must win. Idra only has to win 1 best of 3. So Idra is 1 game away from taking the entire tournament. So this is a lot of pressure on Select. He must choose very wisely.
And we are anxiously, like I said, still waiting for Select. He's going to take some time to think about it. There he goes right now. You can see him thinking there. Idris has got to be very confident after that win. Lost Temple, not a map that usually favors Zerg, but Idris saying that it is not anything. And there goes Select choosing Xel'Naga Caverns as the next map that we are going to be playing. So I'm going to go ahead and set that lobby up.
Now that is a big trap you can fall into on Lost Temple because that formation, the high ground, is so juicy to exploit. A lot of players overly focus on that. We saw everything that Select was doing in that game was geared towards taking that high ground. The Thors, the medevacs with the Marines up on the high ground, way too much emphasis on there, and all Idra had to do was a Ling counterattack at the front, and there was almost nothing that Select had prepared for it. But on Xel'Naga Caverns, this is a map with no gimmicky formations. The only way that Select will win and will end up playing is just standard, straight up, good, solid fundamentals.
And it looks like we are going to get started here on our second map, Xel'Naga Caverns, but first we're going to be headed to our map preview.
Xel'Naga Caverns is a 2-player map with spawn points at the 7 and 2 o'clock positions. Natural expansions can be found right outside the mains, but with 3 entry points, and they can often be quite hard to defend. Destructible rocks can be destroyed to access high-yield mineral bases towards the middle, as well as another expansion down a ramp from the natural. 2 Xel'Naga watchtowers can be found in the middle of the map and typically become the focus of many battles. The hole in the center of the map is a great spot for any air scouting unit, as you can see any approaching attacks quite easily. Good luck to the players, and back to you guys at the desk.
We are back here with match point for Idra. Give a cheer for Select, the Red Terran in the bottom left, the Cinderella story in his 13th best of 3 here at MLG. Idra, of course, the USA Zerg bad boy in the top right. So it looks like Select making a little joke about the fact that he wishes he had a Zerg practice partner, but I don't think he should sell himself down the river so soon. He had just a few adjustments to make, and he would have been able to perform quite well in that previous game.
Yeah, and one thing, I mean, we talk about how much Select plays the ladder, and he plays a lot on the US ladder. Talking to him earlier last week, he was mentioning to me the fact that he doesn't have any good Zerg opponents to play on there on the US server, so when he's up against a tip-top Zerg user like Idra, he really doesn't have too much of an idea what to do. Throw in the new patch, and he's probably trying things out here on a whim.
And it looks like he is going once again for the extremely fast refinery build. And this definitely could come back to bite him, as on this map, the most reasonable early refinery build is, of course, fast Hellion play, but the roaches are so easy to micro against those Hellions, but Idra, as we've seen time and again, is favoring the Zerglings. Would not be surprised to see the gas and pool go down shortly.
Yeah, I mean, if Idra actually goes for that natural expansion, you got to remember on a map like Xel'Naga Caverns, there are so many entrances into your base instead of one like we just saw on Lost Temple. And there goes the hatchery coming down for Idra before pool. There's also this another entrance behind your base with those brushes, hiding any units that we do see from there. So there goes Select. He scouts the fact that Idra is throwing down that hatchery, and he's going to be going into the main and not see a pool just yet.
Now, Select does counterintuitively seem to play best in these situations where he is up against the wall, up in the face of elimination. But surprisingly enough, in this brief moment of lag, we see Select not playing as quickly as he traditionally was. In the previous games, he was playing up at 250, 260, and now he is at 218. Obviously enough to do what he needs to do at this phase in the game, but could be a sign that he is starting to sort of falter and become overtired.
Rax has finished, and he's instantly throwing down that factory, utilizing that early gas there that he did throw down before the Rax even begun, going ahead and making that reactor. So we are going to see Hellion play for the opener here. Here comes a drone for Idra to see what is up in the base of his Terran, opponent. Select going ahead and sending that SCV back to just do a little bit of damage onto that hatchery, and going to be sending that into his main of Idra in just a couple of seconds.
And if we look at the production tab, only queens and drones coming out for Idra. He did get this very early gas. Let's see if he gets yet another early second queen. Very common play on this map. Yes, indeed, there is the second queen coming up. Select now backing up towards his natural expansion. That reactor has just finished for Select, and he will be doing the swap between the factory and the barracks. Curious to see what his follow-up play is going to be. The drone getting up into the high ground does manage to block just for a brief period of time, but it is not going to be enough. We do see double Hellion play. Should be starting from Select.
Oh,
should
and you
be
actually, the drone was trying to steal the gas again, but Select's two SCVs put it into that, killing that drone. And Sean, I have a question for you. When we're watching a match like this, TVZ, where you're really not too sure what to do in terms of an opener after that Hellion, what are your thoughts right now on this matchup? What would you do if you were playing currently in this match?
I think the most reasonable thing is to fall back on the good old Reaper into early expand opening, very versatile, or perhaps a one barracks, one factory into expand. This double Hellion, fortunately, is going to play out reasonably normally, as we do see the fact that Idra is going Zerglings with Zergling speed, and I also don't mind this very fast tech to a starport. We see the tech lab coming out as well, and here's the double Hellion play. Select is going to try to find some opening to squeeze up there, but we see Idra doing a very good job of continuing to add larva, positioning those queens, and having enough Zerglings up on the high ground to block.
Yeah, he's continuing to spread that creep, which of course gives him sight and allows his Lings without speed. His speed is almost done to go ahead and try to get us around onto those Hellions. We do have the starport, or no, the factory switching out onto that tech lab. It is going to go ahead and land. Does he have a factory? No, he does not. So we might just be seeing tanks. A medevac is going ahead and being built out of that starport. Some more damage here, I believe. Was that a creep tumor that he just killed from the high ground trying to go down?
It sadly was a cancel, so he is not going to be able to do as much damage as he wishes, and Select doing some very nice little plays there with Hellions. And if we go to the unit counting station, Idra again getting barely enough Lings to be able to deal with some sort of drop. The layer is still a little ways behind. 2 spine crawlers and 2 extractors out right now. That SCV by the Xel'Naga watchtower doing the repair, and the perfectly placed Overlord is going to spot everything Select has in mind.
We do have one Viking coming out of that starport. No attachment just yet, and nothing being produced out of that factory. Looks like all 4 Hellions have loaded into that medevac. We're going to be seeing a drop here. Idra did very well against defending this last game, and both queens have been pulled into the main as he did see that. Select actually pulling that medevac back. Going to be swinging around and probably dropping in here at the natural expansion, but there are 2 spine crawlers in place that will easily defend against those 4 Hellions.
The big danger right now for Select is the fact that Idra has a Spire already en route. He absolutely needs to have some sort of big anti-air play coming up very soon. The Viking, of course, is taking out the Overlords. And there's the big push, the anti-timing by Idra for unburrowing that spine crawler, but all the speed Zerglings are arriving and surrounding these Hellions. Hellions are so weak against Zerglings if they do get surrounded, but doing a nice little lineup there, trying to retreat back to this medevac, but there the medevac is going to be able to see the Spire, going to try to drop in the main to do some damage, but in the resource station we already see that Idra is performing quite well. He is behind his opponent, but that Spire that will finish soon will allow him to catch up rapidly.
Looks like the medevac might be dropping the Hellion again, or it's just going to fly back and come for another. Nope, there goes the Hellion going down. He's going to try to get a couple extra kills, but here come the Lings. He needs to quickly get back into that medevac. Looks like the expansion of Select is being thrown down. This is exactly what we saw last game with that bunker coming down, but Idra was sending Lings at the base of Select last game, and he was able to do so much damage with those Lings. Looks like no Lings are coming. Actually, here they come across the map just like last time.
And this is such a smart play by Idra right when all of a sudden the harass seems about finished by his opponent. Wants to immediately put as much pressure on as he can. In the main of Select, we see absolutely no good anti-air, just Marines without stim at this point in time. Idra is going to have to retreat, but Select is going to be in a very awkward position trying to be able to stay alive against Mutalisk in the later stages of the game. And as you've been pointing out every time, very fast +1.
Yeah, that makes such a big difference with those mutants because, of course, they do attack 3 times with their volley. They're moving on to other units that are near. Looks like Select actually took out one of those Overlords with that Viking that did produce a while back from that starport. And here comes 2 more Raxes being added, as well as missile turrets going up to defend all of the structures that Select has, as there are 3 mutants screaming across the map right now.
And it looks like this turret will not be up in time. That is very important that Select managed to keep that one alive. He's not target firing the SCV. Oh! No, barely in the nick of time, not finishing it, and there it finally finishes. So Idra will be repelled successfully. Select is almost certainly going to be transitioning to some big barracks play, eventually getting stim and combat shield for the large push, but I do like the fact that he's already begun substantial tank production. He is going to rely on the good old tank marine mix to deal with the large Zergling Baneling Mutalisk force from Idra.
Looks like Idra is doing what he always does in this base. He's setting up to take his third. Baneling Nest has gone down, continuing to try to put on some pressure with these Mutalisks there. Looks like those Marines will go ahead and make those Mutalisks run away. There goes the depots, trying to burrow into the ground and hide from the Mutalisks, but of course they still can hit them. Now the Mutalisks have been somewhat repelled. Going back over into the base of Idra, looks like a drone is on its way to go ahead and take that third there right next to his natural expansion, opting not to take that high yield expansion as the rocks have still not gone down. Attack for the Flyers has finished. They're not getting level 1. Going ahead and getting the centrifugal hooks for the Banelings as that has just begun.
And I really like this play by Select. He's opting to get tons of Marines before even getting any upgrades for them. He knows that any attack early on will get shut down by Lings, Banelings, and Mutas. So he's going to wait until that Marine count is quite high. He's advancing forward with his Marines. He's already getting a good amount of medevacs. Idra, the king of bringing supply depots down to 10 HP and letting them burn down on their own. Looks like a decent amount of medevacs and Marines continuing to be produced. And look at Idra just gooping up the center of the map.
Looks like we have Stim Pack and, of course, Combat Shield being researched as we see a heavy Marine army right now for Select. Also getting Terran Infantry level 1s. He's going around trying again to kill these depots. He is going to get one of them. Is he going to get the second one to start burning? There goes, going down to 50 HP. That can, of course, get repaired, and Select does go ahead and pull an SCV, but Idra was actually sending those Mutalisks back, but the Marines of Select were still there, so he's going to go ahead and have to send those back to the base and come back another day.
Select having very nice timing on this play, and this is the style that most Terrans have been relying on in Terran vs. Zerg, the gigantic Marine mix, making more Marines than there are all Zerg units combined, just hoping to have something alive after the initial damage of those Baneling. Idra knows that that's the scary time, so he's going to try to pick off the reactor. Oh no, it does manage to get taken out, so Select is going to have to rebuild that reactor, and Idra's going to try to exploit it by just picking it off again and again.
Yeah, Idra being so annoying with those Mutas. Looks like the third base for Idra has begun, or has finished there, and a ton of Banelings being morphed in there. They do, of course, have Baneling speed already, and this is pretty much what we always see Idra do. Select is actually moving out with all of those Marines. It's going to be very important that he can get those tanks into siege mode, and here we go!
And there's the stim. He needs to back away. There's a lot of Banelings. He needs to run off creep. There's the siege mode. He doesn't really manage to pick off that many, and the Mutalisks just annihilate everything. Idra is one game away from victory. Select trying to micro. Select has just lost all of his tanks. He just did not siege up at the right time. Idra now just marching forward with all of these Mutalisks. The roach change didn't matter at all for him, just Mutas and Banelings for Idra.
And there's only a handful of Marines about to pop out of those racks right now. So many Mutas in the base of Select. Here comes a couple of Lings just to add some more punishment there. Factory is going to go down, and good game from Select. Idra is your MLG D.C. winner.
And that is a tragic finish for Select, who just had to play so many series after series after series and just could not stay through to the very end. But Idra, of course, is the most seasoned practice player here, has played in the most large-scale SC2 tournaments, and his experience really showed today as he is our winner.
And there's a little bit of grin. I saw a lot of people talking on TeamLiquid.net asking if Idra ever smiles, and that's when he smiles, when he wins an event, when he knows that his job is complete, coming all the way from South Korea, proving that he still has the stuff. We're going to cut to a commercial break and be right back with an interview with our winner here at MLG D.C. JP McDaniel back here at MLG D.C. and I'm joined on my left by Select, your runner-up, and of course our grand champion, EG Idra. But before talking to you, Idra, I want to talk a little bit to Select. You had the hardest road to the championship, playing so many great players. Talk to me a little bit about that process.
I was really nervous, and my first hard opponent was Noni, Ricky Tyler. I played so bad at that game at that time, so I lost that game, and then I came down to loser bracket, and it made me like so tired, and I'm really exhausted right now. Maybe if I beat him on the winner bracket, maybe it might be better than this.
Now, another thing that we want to talk about is you play so many ladder games on the American server, and you were talking in that last match actually how you do not have any Zerg partners to practice with. Kind of talk to me about how that went down. I mean, where do you think all the great Zerg players are right now?
I think in US server there's like no Zerg, like same as Idra level. There's no same level as Idra, so. And I couldn't really find the Zerg partner to practice with, so I really didn't practice versus Zerg, only Protoss and TBT, yeah.
And last but not least, the question on everyone's mind right now is, South Korea is kind of the place to be for StarCraft. Do you have any intentions of actually heading over there anytime soon?
Yes, I'm planning to participate the GSL Season 3. Which is like in a month after the BlizzCon. Yeah, I'm going to play it and hope I do well.
All right, Select. Well, thank you for your great showing. So many people loved your matches. Idra, you won the event. You came here to win the event. You said you were going to win the event. This patch helped you win the event. You were so confident coming into this tournament. What does it feel like to win?
Oh, it's great. My first time back in the U.S. in a long time, and I come and win a tournament like MLG. It's mind-blowing. I'm so happy.
Now, playing against Zergs, you did have to play playing against Terran, I mean, you did have to play against QXC earlier. Really, what are the differences between some of the Terrans here in the U.S. right now?
Well, actually, both of the good Terrans I played, QXC and Select, they seem very drop-heavy, so I think the medevac nerf hurt them a lot. Yeah, that was the biggest thing I noticed. They focus a lot on drop harass.
Now, what is the future right now for Idra? Will you be back for MLG Dallas? Are you going to be playing in any more tournaments? Where can players look for you to play next?
I'll definitely come to any MLG event I can. I really want to come to Dallas. It might interfere with GSL. We'll have to see. That's still up in the air.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and playing here at this event. We loved watching you play. Do you have any shout-outs here for the last part of this interview?
I'd like to thank my team, EG, and all our great sponsors, Intel, SteelSeries, MSI Notebook, Kingston HyperX, and Bigfoot Networks. They're great. They're the reason I'm here. They brought me out here. I can't thank them enough. And thank all my fans for cheering for me.
All right, guys. So that's going to do it here for StarCraft 2 at MLG D.C. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you to the players, all the players here at MLG D.C. for coming out. And we're going to be back here with more World of Warcraft action here later tonight and continuing on till tomorrow afternoon.